I don't normally do this, but I'll let Rick be a co-host too.
Thank you.
I can kick him out easily enough.
Oh, man.
Send you to a waiting room like I did a couple weeks ago.
Just for the sake of already, we have a couple of questions. Today's training will address inputting HF radios into AUXDATA 2, but all of our HF operators, I'm sure you already know, National has the final say when approval comes. So it'll be both HF and VHF. Correct, Chris?
Yes. Yeah. We're going to go through the process from A to Z.
Okay.
Basically, HF has two approvals above DIROX, and we'll cover that. Yes.
Okay. Also, there's a question about code for AUXDATA 2 today. Chris?
Yes.
Is there a code for AUXDATA 2 for today?
Oh, you mean for recording your time? Yes. Anybody want to venture a guess on what that is?
D for training.
That's it.
D for
exactly
training.
Right. 99 Delta, and since we have 39 people, could be a few more. Rather than me enter the time in for everybody, I highly encourage you guys to do it. Please, just make a straight activity log, 99 Delta, for however long as we're on here today.
Chris, will there be a copy of the video sent to everybody? So if we want to review stuff from the session,
It will be
on
the district YouTube page.
Wonderful.
Right.
And Chris, can you take your screen to full screen, please?
Sure.
Just so you all know, DIROX is now approving in-person VHF radio inspections. The first one was approved yesterday for Alan Carver. So anybody that's got a VHF radio just need to explain in detail how you're going to do it, that you will maintain social distancing, etc. And it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to inspect somebody's radio if it's in your vehicle in somebody's driveway. So I just submitted an assignment to duty request, and it should get approved.
That's excellent news, and that is not involving or does not require a bubble, I'm assuming.
That's correct. Yes, just the inspector and the owner. That's all.
Very good. Commodore Harshfield, is the screen? How's the screen showing up now?
I still see your desktop. Did you not take it to full screen, or?
Yeah, it's in full screen. Let me stop share and try and reshare it.
Hit the green button on the top.
Yeah, no, my personal screen is full. I have three different screens. But.
All right. Okay. Well, that's fine. Your resolution isn't. Go back to where you were.
How about this?
There we go.
Beautiful.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's kick this off. What do we got? It's 9:02. Welcome, everybody. Thank you to Commodore Harshfield for hosting this, the wizard behind the scenes. Appreciate it as always. And thank you, Commodore Geiger and Chief of Staff and also DSOCM Rick Ebel for coming up with this idea to for all of us to spend some time on Saturday morning. As the Commodore Harshfield mentioned, this is going to be the 12th 82 session, so to speak, that's been recorded and will be on the district website for your viewing pleasure at a later date. Attached to the one that we did most recently, which was primarily boat OpVacs and that inspection process and order submissions, which is really very similar to what we're going to cover today, but in that same area, in that same tab, basically online and on the district website, are two documents that are very radio specific. They're both PDFs that kind of walk you through the process of what we're going to talk about today, but you also have that ready reference. I'm going to be using, I'm in this sandbox now. I'm not sure if you guys have the resolution to see the URL I'm looking at, but it's a UAT, which is user acceptance testing, basically call it the sandbox. The reason why we do this, 2 reasons. One, anything we do in here is not going to transfer over to live to the production AUXDATA, so we can't mess anything up. It also protects some PPI. So I'm mentioning that because some things you may see on the sandbox may be slightly different than production. One thing you'll notice, and I'll show you when we go to a members page, is they add features constantly. Every 2 to 3 weeks, they do what's called a sprint. It's basically an upgrade of the system, and you'll just notice things are a little bit different. One of the things that's coming, I know it's coming because on a member page now, you'll see PPE as one of the tabs at the top. You have your details related, et cetera, and PPE. So I'm assuming that in the near future, all our PPE inspections are going to be able to be logged online and part of your record rather than the paper. The other reason I mentioned that is because when we did the OpVac presentation, some people were following along in production and making the same entries, and they ended up making a bunch of actual requests for patrols and things like that. So we want to avoid that. Okay, I've got the way we're going to do this is I'm going to bounce back and forth between 2 sandbox accounts. This one you see here right now is I'm just Joe member, who's going to be doing an initial offer for use for a radio facility and also a reinspection of an existing one. That's the meat of what we're going to do today. The other tab here where it says Chris OpVac Mather, that is the account they gave me where I have the permission sets or the qualifications to do both vessel exams because I'm a VE in the system, or communication or radio facility inspections, because as you probably all know, I'm assuming almost everybody on today is a communications person or familiar with it. But the big difference between who can do inspections of a boat and who can do an inspection of a radio is a boat, it just has to be a vessel examiner. That's it. For radio inspection, has to be a current CM officer, FSO, SO, etc., communications officer. And for HF specifically, you have to either own or have previously owned and be familiar with HF, having had an HF facility. Okay, so that's the main difference. All right, let's kick this off with a new offer for use. I'm going to touch on a few basic AUXDATA 2 things as we go, because with 40 or so people, I'm not sure how familiar everyone is. There's a couple of different ways to get to your member page. Okay, everyone should be familiar with how to get to their own member page, because that's where everything about you is in the system is viewable. Global search up here is probably the quickest and most accurate way to get to anybody's member page. Global search being the magnifying glass icon, okay? And the quickest way, you can type in a name, but unless you know somebody's middle name, if you're doing somebody else, it can sometimes miss, but a member number is always going to work.
Miss, but a member number is always going to work.
Commodore Harshfield, I'm getting a feedback of my audio.
Yeah, I know. I just muted whoever it was that was doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a message that there is some pretty bad reverberation from the person identified as trailer. I don't know who that is.
Okay. I'm going to trust Commodore Harshfield to take care of that. I don't hear an echo, so we're pressing on.
I'm on it.
Thank you, sir. If you missed it, I typed in the member number for my Sandbox account, which is Mr. John J. Doe. And here we are on the details page for this person. The quickest way, if if you're on your member page, to find a facility that is assigned to you is to go to related. Okay. Here's that PPE tab, by the way, that I was mentioning earlier. You can scroll down to where facilities are, facility ownership. And then if you hover your mouse over any of the facility record numbers, it'll show you information about that facility so you can find the one that you actually want to use. Okay. If it's an existing one. If it's not an existing one, what you're going to do, and that's what we'll demonstrate first, is you're going to go to the facilities tab at the top. You can start from anywhere, whether it's home or not. You're going to go to facilities, and then you're going to go new. This is for an initial offer for use. Okay. New facility type can be either radio, aircraft, boat, etc. Obviously, today we're going to do a radio. You're going to click next. And then you're going to start filling out the information. What I highly recommend before you get to this, before you get online and do this, is have the 7004 filled out. We still need this form. Even though you're going to be entering all the same information into the system, the 7004 needs to be scanned once everything's complete and signed and entered in as part of the record. It also is used as a checklist. As the inspector goes through the actual inspection. So since this is a brand new facility, we don't have a registration yet. This is going to be the November Mike or the November Fox assigned number for your facility. I believe now there is also going to be a November Tango. John Olson, if you're on, is that correct? Which I think is transportable.
Roger. National developed 2 new call signs, November Foxtrot 114 Tango for transportable and November Foxtrot 114 Romeo for repeaters.
Okay, thank you. So bottom line is you won't be filling out your registration because you know it, and you won't be filling out the facility name, which in the case of a radio is going to be something like San Diego Radio 7, I believe. And John, if I say anything incorrect, just by all means butt in. You'll have all the information pre-filled out on the 704, hopefully. So you'll just go through these columns from top to bottom and fill out every single possible bit of information that it'll let you put in there. You want to do that. The reason is once you submit this as an OFU, as an offer for use, and initiate an inspection, you can't change any of the facility details anymore. Only DIROCs can. That's actually the way it was before too. You'd have to submit a 7004 with change annotated here. And then whoever's managing the facilities at the DIROC's office has to manually make the entry. So the bottom line is fill out as much of this as you can because it's going to be your last chance to do it directly. Okay, that also brings up a point. A lot of the facilities, existing facilities that migrated over from legacy AUXDATA to AUXDATA 2 either did not have the information, a lot of this information in there, or it was somehow lost in the data migration. So I encourage you to check your own facility records, both boats, radios, whatever. And if it's missing information, and I mean, I'm talking some very basic information like who owns it, then submit a change to the shared mailbox is the best way to do it, to the D11 shared mailbox, and DIROCs can make the changes, okay? So basically you're gonna go through all this information and click save. I'm gonna cancel out of this, so I'm not gonna take your time by filling one in, and I'm gonna go to one that was filled in earlier, partially, okay? So once you fill in all that information and click save, you're gonna get to a page like this, which is basically the facility page, all right? You're gonna have a facility record number. You might wanna take note of that. That is one of the quickest ways to go to your facility record page in the system is by typing that again into the global search. It should auto-populate your unit name. And if not, you'll put it in there, your unit number. This is would be done on the previous step, okay? So here's some basic information that's filled out. This is for a mobile, put in the standard horizon, the make and the output, etc. Okay? All this you'll just double check. The meat of what we're covering today, what you really want to learn the process here is facility inspections. How do we initiate the process and how do we complete the process? So from here, you're going to go facility inspections, new. All right, obviously radio. Click radio and then click next. Okay, it's going to auto-populate your facility. You're going to request an inspection date. Okay, let's just say it's today. Obviously, it would be at some point in the future. And then here, these red asterisks are obviously fields you have to fill out. You're gonna select an inspector that you first of all know is an FSO or SOCM or higher, and that most likely you've talked to and said, hey, can you inspect my radio? They agree. So you're gonna have to put their name in here, okay? I'm gonna put the OpVac Mather, which is my test name with those permissions. You're not going to fill out inspection date yet. That is done after the inspection. Okay, Dirox, I wish they would have just a drop down for, D11, but they don't. You have to put the actual OTO in. And in the test environment, it's my Dirox here account, separate one. For us, for the next couple of months anyway, it's Robert F. DeVoy, not Leslie. Well, Leslie's not even in the office anymore, but it was never her before either. It's got to be the actual OTO, okay? And if you're doing an HF radio, you would also fill in the HF radio approvers, the branch chief, Donald L. Wellens right now, and the DVC, David Elliott right now, okay? All right, and then you click save. All right, now you have facility inspections before said 0. Now you have this facility inspection record number, okay? Click on right now we're on the facility page. This can be confusing throughout AUXDATA 2, what page you're actually on. And if you look at the upper left, it'll tell you which one we're on. So we're not looking at the facility inspection right now, which is the FI number. We're looking at the facility number. Well, I want to go to move this along, I want to go back to the facility inspection record number. So I'm going to click on that. And here we have, this is the information we filled out. We haven't put any files in yet, and we don't have any approval history yet. If you learn anything today, owners and OpVac owners, this is the button you're looking for right here, submit for approval, okay? And the other foot stomper is status. Your status is new. Okay, as long as the status says new, this inspection is not going anywhere. It'll never go to anyone else's desk and it'll never get approved. Once you click submit for approval, and I'm going to do that now, you could put comments that you want in there. Doesn't matter, it's not a required field. Okay, once you submit for approval, you should get the little green submitted for approval. That's good. Now notice the status has changed. This is key. If it does not change to under inspection, something was missed. All right. Also notice now we have an approval history, radio examiner, and approval. All right. Since I did this from the OpVac tab, I didn't go back to my owners tab. So let me see if I can show you guys 23501. I'm going to go back. I want to show you the difference between what the inspector is going to see and what the owner is going to see. Okay, it's showing up on both. What'll happen in production? So I apologize, the demo is not perfect, but what's going to happen in production is once you submit request approval and the status changes to under inspection, from the owner's AUXDATA page, the facility owner, you're not going to see the approve and reject buttons. Okay, you can't approve your own inspection. The inspector, whoever you assigned it to, is going to see that. So the bottom line is, to make this process work, both the facility owner and the inspector have to be able to log into AUXDATA 2, find this facility record number. You'll get an email, by the way, through the system, an automated one. So you'll have the number there, in this case, FI 23501. And the inspector is the only one that can click approve. Okay, let me stop right there, because this is the most important thing of this whole day, is that you guys understand this process. It's got to go from the owner to the inspector, and then the inspector's got to be able to log in, because he or she is the only one that's going to see this approve or reject button. I'm going to pause right there and see if there's any questions. I don't hear any. That's good. It's clear then. Okay, so the inspection's going to happen.
Sorry, I have a question. This is Mike Musso.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, since I'm the comm officer of the flotilla and we run Coast Guard Auxiliary Radio Oceanside, since it must be inspected by a comm officer, who's going to do the inspection for Coast Guard Auxiliary Radio Oceanside?
I'm not sure. If someone with more comm experience could jump in and say whether, other than a regular, just like a regular radio facility inspection, does it require some kind of higher level if it's an ARN? I don't know. I would say the system is going to take it as long as somebody is an approved FSO or SO or higher CM. They're gonna, you can inspect it.
So I've got to go outside the flotilla then.
You can so I've got to go outside the flotilla then.
This is Glenn. Yes, you'd have to go outside the flotilla for it. It's kind of like having Drexel in charge of the blood bank.
Okay.
Okay, so who might I call on that to provide inspection services for our Coast Guard Auxiliary Radio Oceanside?
Is
Call
your
your
SO?
SO.
Yeah. If your SOCM is not in the same flotilla, then I would say that'd be the place to go.
SOCM, okay.
Yeah. Or an ADSO.
Actually, an FSO from another flotilla could do it.
This is true.
So there's nobody in my flotilla that I can do it?
No.
Okay,
So there's nobody in my flotilla that I can do it. No. Okay.
But
Mike, it's Glenn. Call me. I'll do it for you.
okay, Glenn.
I have a question for you. What were the two names of the high frequency radio inspectors? One was Donald something.
Donald L. Wellens, Wellons, is the branch chief.
Donald L. Wellens, Well.
You guys are getting everything twice. You're going to really know this stuff. And the DVC is David A. for Alpha Elliot, ELLIOT.
Will that gentleman that volunteered give me his name again so I can write it down? I apologize. To inspect our facility.
That was Glenn Arant,
Spell that for me, sir.
ARRANT.
Oh, Glenn Aaron. Okay.
Glenn Arant, yes.
Are you on? Is Glenn on today?
He is.
Yeah.
Hello, Glenn. Sorry about that.
Oh, this is John. I have a question. Who is the owner of Aux Radio? Who's listed on the 7004 as the owner of Aux Radio Oceanside?
I can answer that. It would be me, Mike Musso.
Okay, and you're also the comm
I can
officer?
That is correct.
Okay, yep, and you have to go to any other current officer, either in another flotilla or Glenn or the SO or whoever.
Right.
Thank you.
I'll be contacting Glenn. Thank you very much, guys.
And that makes total sense. If you're the FSOCM, you can't approve your own radio. So you need another FSO or an SO or higher. Okay, so that makes sense.
And that's why I asked. Thank you.
You bet. I'm glad we got that done. Okay.
One more question.
Yes, go ahead.
Dan Whirls here. So I'm in Mike Musso's flotilla, and I have a mobile facility, Handheld. Can Mike inspect my facility?
Yes. Yes. Let me make that clear. To inspect a radio facility, the inspector has to be the inspector listed on this 82 page right here and on the 7004 has to be an active, not a former or wants to be in the future, but a current listed in AUXDATA CM officer, FSOCM, SOCM, ADSO, DSO, whatever. Okay, that's got to be really clear. If you put anyone else in there, it's not going to work. Has to be a current CM officer. And obviously you can inspect your own facility.
I have a question.
Yes.
With regards to an HF station, if the SO or whoever inspects your station is not qualified to inspect an HF station, who would do it?
Well, you have to run up the COLM and find one that can. I imagine, I don't know, but you'd have to find another CM officer. It doesn't have to be, it just has to be a current CM officer who was also experienced with HF. And that would mean has had his own HF OPVAC facility in the system at one point, or preferably currently. I know definitely when we were doing virtual radio inspections, there had to be a radio check. There should be a radio check as part of the process. And it would be hard for an inspector to get a radio check on HF if he doesn't have an HF radio. Any of the comms guys want to add anything to that before we move on?
How do you do a radio check if you don't have your call sign on the HF?
John, how would you do that?
Good question. I don't know. You would just have to have the inspector. If the inspector is a qualified HF inspector, they're going to have a pretty good idea of how the system is working. And I think you could probably do it without the radio check, just if the inspector verifies the antenna is properly connected and has a low VSWR and the radio is outputting power and modulates and everything. That would suffice for an initial one. Or the inspector could use their own call sign just for a radio check, since they're supposed to own their own facility, HF facility, so they could use theirs and communicate with somebody else.
Can we use our ham ID and
No. Oh, you could do that on a ham frequency. You could do a radio check with another ham on a ham frequency, but you cannot use ham call signs on auxiliary frequencies.
Roger that.
Okay.
And one other comment about who can be an inspector. Every person that is a qualified inspector on their member page has a little check mark in the box that says radio facility inspection. So you can verify that the person you're asking to do your inspection is really qualified to do it by having them check their member page. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes, I believe that is. I'll try and prove that right now.
Just another note in regards to that HF inspection without a call sign. I will contact the branch chief and ask them about that, because that's an initial inspection. Once you have that, you will get a call sign, and National assigns those. So I'll look into that, and whatever I find out, I'll pass down through the chain of leadership, and we'll get it down to you folks.
Thank you.
Okay. Great questions, guys. And here I went to my OPVAC Mather page.
If I might offer a suggestion.
And here I went to my OPVAC Mather page, which is
Glenn, are you listening on your phone?
If I might offer a suggestion with HF.
Glenn, are you listening on your phone?
I can't.
You need to mute the second audio system that you're listening to, Greg, while you're talking.
Okay. Well, he squares that away. I'm showing you the member page, and this is what John was referring to. You can see the little check marks next to things like BQC2 and AUXCT, and then down at the bottom, it also shows whether you're a vessel examiner, other kinds of examiners, and this is what John was referring to, radio inspector. They also made me BCRTI and DVCRT just so I could work the process through in the test environment. But this is a double check that whoever you're picking can actually perform the inspection that you're requesting. Okay, that was a great point. All right, back to this facility inspection. We are under inspection. The next step in the process is to get it to DIROX review. If it just stays in under inspection, just like when it was new, it's never going to go any further and it'll never be approved. The OTO will not even see this or look at it, okay? You have to click the approve button. And when I say you, it has to be whoever is listed here as the facility inspector. They have to be logged in with their account. That is the only account that will see approve or reject under the facility inspection page. And then they're going to click approve. I'm going to click it right now to show you what happens. And what we should see is status will change to DIROX review. So here we go. Approve. Again, comments are optional. There's a validation in here because we missed a step. Please enter date inspection was completed. Remember from earlier when we were filling out the request, we didn't put the inspection date in yet because it hadn't occurred yet. We're going to go ahead and put it in as we just did it today. Everything's happening very fast. Okay, now what happens when we click approve? Comments optional. Green is good. Facility inspection was approved. This does not mean the facility was approved. Okay, only DIROX can do that, but it means the inspector approved the inspection. We're going to go back to the FI number, okay, facility inspection record number, to double check what changed. And yes, sure enough, status now says DIROX review. The facility owner, either current or potential, and the inspector, you guys are done now. Well, I take that back. Before you click DIROX review and before you click approve, part of the inspection process is to add files here where it says files. The 7004 at a bare minimum for vessel opbacks, vessel boats. DIROX wants to see bow, stern, port, starboard pictures. They also want to see DMV registration or Coast Guard COD. Radios, I believe the 7004 is all you need. And then there was an appendix B for the virtual inspections, which sounds like aren't needed anymore. But whatever DIROX or the CM chain of leadership require for an inspection, at the bare minimum, the 7004, drop it in here. It's really easy. The system is very good at uploading files. You can click add files and find it, or you can just drag and drop them in there. All right. At that point,
I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a question. They're asking at what point is the 7004 uploaded to AUXDATA 2, and what signatures are required on the copy uploaded?
You want to answer that?
I will. The documents can be uploaded when you are, and I forget what page that was again, Chris, when the owner is putting in, filling out their information. You have an opportunity to upload that then. As far as what signatures are required, right now, I don't think any are any longer, because we use the 7004 as a worksheet to make sure you're getting your information entered into AUXDATA 2 correctly. Now, if you want to get signatures on that, that's fine. It could delay the process if you have to email that form out to the people that you need signatures from. And obviously it's the owner and the inspector and the DSO. And the answer is to the next question, does that mean without signatures, the SO and the DSO are not required to sign? Yes, that's what that means. Because this is an AUXDATA 2 process, what they want to see, what we want to see is all the information on the radio and still the 7004. And again, if you want to get signatures, by all means, you can, especially if everybody is in close proximity. Otherwise, you're going to email that stuff around and be signing PDFs, and just takes longer. So
yeah, if I could add on to that, basically when you have an approve button, that's why the approve button is only available on the inspector's account. You are digitally signing that 7004 when you click that approve. And the same thing happens with the branch chief and the DVC for an HF radio. There's one other thing the current OTO likes to use, and it's a chatter feature of AUXDATA 2. And I believe since DSOCM is one of the signatures normally required, the OTO has, for the few that we've done already, used chatter as a way of saying, hey, Rick, can you take a look at this? If you approve, let me know. And then that's how the OTO gets basically a signature from the DSOCM without actually having the paper form flying around. Rick, do you concur with that?
that is correct. Also, there's a question on who uploads the 7004. The owner should be uploading that.
Yes, although that the system doesn't care who uploads it. Could be anybody.
Correct.
As long as the file is in there. And really, when it happens is not critical either, except that it really needs to be in there before you click approve and it goes to DIROC's review. Or at the very least, do it right after, so that when the OTO looks at it, he's not going to just kick it back and go, hey, where's the 7004? Okay. So make sure it gets in there before it goes to DIROC's review, and then it's on the OTO's desk, and you're done as an inspector, and you're done as an owner until he approves it. He or she approves it. It's going to go approved, and now not only was the inspection approved, but the facility was approved. And if it was a new one, you'll get your call signs and all that. Okay. That's taking a new offer for use from A to Z, basically. Yeah, I was also going to show you quickly how to work a re-inspection. I'm going to go back to my test member, John J. Doe.
Chris, I have another question.
Yes, go for it.
Somebody's asking, they say they've already done a few of these, but they haven't submitted them for DIROC's review. Do they have to redo the inspection? I want to say the answer to that is no. If you've already done the inspection and as the inspector, you have approved it, I would go ahead, if all the documentation has been uploaded, I would approve it and let it go to DIROC's for approval.
I would concur with that 100%. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this class today, is because a lot of the facility inspections that have been done already are hung up in the system because members aren't familiar with AUXDATA 2, and they didn't know that the inspector himself has to go in and click approve to move it to DIROC's review. If that's the only reason why it was being held up, then by all means, click that button and get it onto the OTO's desk. The one caveat to that is if it was like 6 months ago, he's going to kick it back. But if it's within the last 2-3 months, they'll probably go, thank you, and approve it if everything else is copacetic. Okay. I'm going to show you a re-inspection. It's just an easier process if you already have the existing facility. I went to my test guy, John Doe. I'm on the detail page. Remember from earlier, you're going to go to related this is the easiest way to find facilities attached to a specific member. Go to related, scroll down to facilities, facility ownership. Again, the mouse works if you hover over it. And here is a non-operational, so it needs an inspection. Mobile handheld radio, November Mike 114 NV. That is, you could also type that, if you know it, right into the global search and it'll go right to this page. So again, multiple ways to get to the same page using global search or going through the members page, related, ownership, etc. So here we are, an existing facility. It was inspected back in 2015 and has not been since. Therefore, it's non-operational. In this case, this is actually some of this information migrated over for test purposes directly from legacy AUXDATA. So some of this is accurate. This happens to be my own handheld that needs to be inspected. Mark Forster, you'll be getting a call. It does have facility ownership, and that's accurate. So these are the kind of things you'll want to check when you're going to do a 7004, whether for a reinspection. Check some of this stuff, and it's especially bad with both. A lot of this stuff is just zero, didn't transfer over. Anyway, we're on the facility page. It needs a reinspection. You go over to the facility inspections on the upper right, and you're going to click new. It's a radio. Click radio and click next. Automatically populates the facility. We're going to do the same thing as we did before with a reinspection date requested. And the inspector, in real life, it's going to be you, Mark, and the Dirox. Okay. Save it. Now we have a new facility inspection listed here under facility inspections. No inspection date yet because it hasn't happened. Go to the FI 23502. Okay. And we're picking up exactly where we were with the initial one, but it's worth going over it twice because this is what people miss. I'm in the owner's account, the facility owner's account, and I see this submit for approval right here. Okay. That's all you have to do at this point. You could add an initial 7004, but you don't have to at this point. You click submit for approval, comments optional. And again, the foot stomper key is checked that the status changed to under inspection. Now it is assigned to, you can see over here under approval history. If I blow this up, it may even make more sense to you. I'll blow up approval history. And you can see the initial request was submitted, okay? And the actual approver is the actual CM officer, and it's pending. And then you have these buttons, approve, reject, and reassign. Because these accounts on the sandbox are kind of combined, the owner will not see these approve, reject buttons. He will see reassign, and he will see recall. If the initial inspector you pick can't do it, this is a way to reassign it so it doesn't get caught in cyberspace and never go anywhere. Or if you decide you don't want to have it inspected anymore, you could recall it and get it out of the system. Okay. So then once the inspector goes into their account, they see the approve button. They remember to put an inspection date in and save it. They drop a file in here. Come off full screen just long enough to drop something in there for you. Just going to drop a random file in here just to show you guys how easy it is. Boom. That would be your 7004. It's that simple. And then you click approve. Comment. So go back to the facility inspection record itself to double check. And this is what we want to see. Dirox review. This inspection is now on the OTO's desk. If it was HF, of course, this would be filled in. And once the OTO approves it, then step 4 and 5 in the process for HF is it will go to Mr. Wellens and he approves it. And then it'll go to David Elliott. And once that's finally approved, your facility will be completely approved. Okay. Questions, guys?
Chris, this is John. The 7004 requires the TCO completion date for both the inspector and the member. You want to show people where to find that?
Sure, absolutely. So go to a member's, go to your member page or the member that has the TCO. This is good to know. This is a great question, John. Thank you, because it's not just for radio inspections. This is for everything. And by the way, I'm going to take a quick 2 seconds here, and I meant to do it in the beginning, and I forgot. I have 2 things I want to foot stomp. Commodore Geiger is going to appreciate this. Core training, AUXCT. You guys have probably seen the email traffic. It's been going through the whole district. We actually, Commodore Geiger, I don't know if you saw the latest report from National dated 7 April, so just a few days ago. But District 11 South is, we're at 70% members qualified core training. That's above the national average of 65%. And in fact, we're in 3rd place overall. So we're doing a lot better. But members need to know where they stand regarding core training. If your AUXCT goes REYR, you are REYR for everything. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, which is TCO, very specific to TCOs, is the risk management / TCT annual refresher. TCO, once you completed your course in the old days, you're done, and you were never going to go REYR because there were no currency requirements. Okay, so as long as you weren't REYR for core training, you were always going to be current for TCO. Not the case anymore. I think most of the people on this call, if not all of you, are aware of this, but not all our TCOs are, because Leslie Pelosi and I flipped REYR switches on about 40 TCOs in our district a few weeks ago because they had never taken the annual TCT refresher. That whole topic's for another day. You can go on to the d11s.org site, go to calendars, and you'll see when they're listed and register, but it has to be done annually. You get a 3-month grace period. So if you do it in January of 2021, for example, you're good until April of 2022 before you'll go REYR. But it's absolutely required now. How do you know? Well, back to John's question, how do you know what courses you've taken and when? You go to your page, you go to related, and you go to member tasks, okay? If you have more than 6, then you got to come down here to view all. So click view all, and you can sort them chronologically, and then scroll down the list. So this test guy has done his annual TCT refresher training. He's done BQC2. You're going to look for the last time he or she took core training. And these are the ones that, for everyone's awareness, in the next week or so, close to 100 members are going to go REYR because the last time they took core training was in 2015. You've got to have it. You've got to renew 5 of the courses every 5 years. And here is telecommunicate way down at the bottom, number 62, telecommunications PQS, and there's the date, October 4th, 2011.
Chris,
that's where
that brings up a question that I have regarding TCOs. We have members who took AUXCOM prior to 2008 and are grandfathered in as TCOs. Is that reflected, the TCO qualification reflected on their AUXDATA 2 record? Or
no,
is it something that we have to go back and look through to see that they took AUXCOM and passed prior to 2008?
That's the way we've been doing it. There's a report we run, and we can show all the members that were AUXCOM prior to that date. And they, like, as you say, are grandfathered in. They will not show TCO because they never took that PQS.
Okay.
They'll just show AUXCOM.
Now, one other question that came up, what do the buttons recall and follow do?
Recall means you're basically bringing back the request. In the case of a facility inspection, you request one and you go, nah, I changed my mind, so you recall it. Follow, I haven't never used follow. I believe it maybe the system's going to send you notifications of the process as it moves along, but that's a guess. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
That's when I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Chris, another question that came up in the chat was, how do you remove a facility if it's no longer in use or they no longer want to have it? Is that just email to the shared mailbox?
That is the only thing you're going to be able to do. Exactly right. And we are going through the process. The CM guys are going through the process of cleaning up. There are a lot of old radio facilities, non-operational. We want to clean that list up. Only DIROCs can do that, though. Only they can remove old facilities, basically delete them. So yes, the way to do that would be to make a request either up through your chain of leadership, or you could email directly to the shared mailbox and say, hey, I request that this facility no longer be active, archive it.
Actually, Chris, I would rather the member email me because we're maintaining a spreadsheet on this, and I would like to request Dirox to delete it.
Okay, perfect.
If we could, if we can do that, I would prefer that.
Even better, especially since I don't know who. Right now, it's just Commander Keenan, actual Dirox, that's looking at the shared mailbox. Leslie's gone, OTO's on leave. The wine in there is brand new. So it could get stuck in a proverbial hole somewhere.
And we don't want that, so.
No. Yes. Okay. What else, guys? I wanted to keep this to about an hour. We've got 50 minutes, so we've got time. If you want it, it doesn't have to be specific to radios. Anything you want to know while you got me on the line, AUXDATA wise or IS wise or radio wise.
Yeah, Chris, Norm Bundick. Chris?
Another question on
Yes,
the
Norm.
chat was, is the yearly refresher the same for ops? And is it waived for the year you take the 4-hour RM class? So the yearly operational workshop is not the same as the RM 4-hour class, right?
Right. The old way of doing it was every 5 years you had to take the 4-hour or 8-hour TCT, and every year there'd be an annual TCT refresher. That's not the case anymore at all. It's completely different. You do a one-time online introduction to risk management course. Once that's on your record, you never have to do it again. The annual every year now is the 4-hour risk management it's completely new risk management course. And it's the same. There's a policy letter out there that explains all the qualifications, all the certifications that require the annual. Some just require the introduction to risk management. Some don't require risk management at all. Like if the FSO SR, for example, does not require risk management, but the OP does. And most of the all the operational certifications require both the intro. You need that before you'll even get in the class, and then the 4-hour every year with a 3-month grace period. It doesn't go on an annual calendar year basis. It goes on a 12-month rolling basis plus 3-month grace.
Yeah, Chris, got a question? Norm Bundick?
Yes, Norm.
Okay. I was going to renew a handheld that I have, but when I read the back of the statement under section 2, the third bullet, said handhelds will not be a facility unless specifically authorized by the Dirox. So what does that actually mean? Are we going to have to say why we need it?
This I'm going to turn over to John or Rick. But what we found is in AUXDATA, some members will have 5 or 6 handhelds, each listed as their own facility, which is not the way to do it, right? But there's plenty of cases where that's the case. Other people will have one facility, one November Mike call sign, and then under additional equipment as part of the facility record, they'll have their 5 or 6 handhelds or whatever they have. That's what I know about it, but I'm going to turn it over to John or Rick to explain further on that.
Well, I'll take a shot at it. The difference is, what I have advised people in the past is if you have a bunch of handhelds and if you are going to use them in a group activity where you hand them out or you put them on a bunch of boats that are operating together and they each need their own call sign, then you could have them each be an individual facility. If you just have a bunch of them in your truck and you're the only one that's going to use them, then they should all be listed on one and avoid all that trouble. I forgot what the other part of that question was.
Do you have to ask Dirox?
Oh, yeah, that would be up to the DSOCM and the OTO to discuss that and put out a decision.
Okay.
So the paperwork should be submitted and then it could be approved or disapproved by the OTO as an example.
Paperwork should be submitted and then it could be approved or disapproved.
Yes.
Yeah, and part of that is there's a lot of responsibility on the inspector for doing these inspections in terms of validating that the radio is actually a legal radio to use on auxiliary frequencies. The inspector is the responsible person who says, yes, this is a legal radio and I approve the inspection, or no, this is a ham radio that somebody converted and it's not Part 90 legal and so I can't approve it. The OTO doesn't know anything about all these radios, so that's not the decision point on whether it's acceptable or not. It's up to the inspector. It's assumed that if the inspector says, yes, I looked at the 7004 and I know this radio and I know it's Part 90 type accepted, then I approve the inspection. And the OTO will typically go along with that.
Yeah, this is Charlie. On the back of the 7004, I do believe it mentioned something about grouping handheld radios together, and the recommendation from National. In fact, I think we've got one member in Division 5 that's got 8 handheld radios currently with 8 different facility numbers. And what they're suggesting, National now, is to use one facility number, but add an identifier to the end of that facility number. So it could be November Mike 114 Alpha X-ray 1, and then 2, 3, 4. That's the way they're recommending it, so we don't have 8 different facility numbers.
And the on the back of the 7004 under section 2 radio facility data, on the 3rd bullet point explains the process for portable or portable group of radios. So it's on the back of the form. Take a look at that. And Dyrox is the only approver on those types of radios. So it's there. There's a comms manual. You can refer to that also.
Okay. Any other questions on anything?
Mark Forrester.
Yes, Mark.
Thank you. This goes for probably Rick Ebel. Rick, just out of curiosity, in Division 6, we have 2 radio stations, Aux Radio Newport and Dana Point Auxiliary Radio Newport, or Dana Point. And going forward, how do you want those radio inspections to be handled as far as with the paperwork and everything? They belong to the division and to the flotilla. So, you know, how do you want this to be handled? Because it's not really been covered here under this lecture.
Actually, I kind of thought it was, Mark, but that's okay. We'll talk about it again. Those radios really need to be assigned to a member. And most likely, because the division is responsible for those radio stations, the SO should probably be that person. And then they just need to be inspected just like a normal radio facility. So, you know, you as the SO cannot inspect them, but you'll need to get either another SO or an FSO in Division 6 to do the inspections. Now, if you have an HF facility, then you'll have to bring in TCO with a HF call sign.
All right.
Does that make it clear, or just muddy it up more?
I know that's fine. I just had one final question. What are you doing next weekend? Can you stop by and do these for us?
Next weekend? No, I probably cannot. But we can certainly talk about it.
No problem. Just messing with you.
Yeah, this is Gene Schultz with a question.
Yes, Gene.
Yes. When someone changes flotillas and goes to a different location, there are mobile radios identified to the location of that facility. How does that get changed to the new facility?
Well, I can tell you in AUXDATA 2, it would be a Dyrox level account can make the change, but it's more a CM function as to what the new call sign would be. And that would be a question for Rick or John, or who. The call sign issuance policy is sort of a mystery to me.
Well, it's like my mobile facility is called Chino Hills Mobile Radio 7. I am now in Tri-Lakes. Or
Right.
I have another person who moved to a different district, but their call sign is still at the national level as Ontario Radio, whatever.
I would think you could submit a 704 with change or via email these days and basically say, I've moved. I probably should have a new call sign that reflects the location. And again, whoever issues those is obviously you can't just pick the city. It's got to be numerical order on what the next number is for, Dana Point 6 or whatever it is, that it would be issued that way. And then somebody at the DIROCS level will make the change in the system. But the call sign issuance is both a district and a national communications function, the way I understand it.
Chris, we have another question. If a radio facility is rejected by DV, how do we find out why?
That might be a perfect opportunity to use the chatter feature.
Right.
On the record, you could just go right back to the person that rejected it and ask them why. I would, in most cases, I think you'd probably make it part of the record as some kind of comments. You saw I kept clicking save and didn't put comments in, but if you were going to reject a facility, I think you'd put something in there. And then chatter would be a way to do it. You could also email anybody directly, guys, through the system. If you have their name or number and you get their page up there, their email's right there, and you can send them a message directly.
Hey, Chris, Mike Musso, I got a question for you.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
go ahead,
Mike.
Yeah, Chris, this is Mike Musso.
Hi.
We're standing radio watch now at Station Gracie. I had my first watch last Saturday, a 4-hour watch. Must one, as we did before COVID, close out that radio watch report somehow, or is it automatically assumed it's done and gone on, and how does that work?
Well, it depends. If you're watch standing without orders,
Yes,
I don't know.
No, we had orders.
Oh, you had orders. Then you have to go into the patrol order in AUXDATA 2 and complete it.
Okay.
And that honestly is it's something that all the boat owners, coxswains are learning how to do. And there isn't as much radio activity with orders as non, but still it is something you're gonna have to know. I'm still sharing my screen so I can show you quickly.
I see it. Go to patrol orders.
Yeah, let me just call one up.
Approved orders.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use an example.
Okay, I'm watching.
Yeah, okay, so here, now this is a boat, okay, but it would be the same for a radio. All the patrol orders are gonna have a PO number and boom, you're gonna know what it is. All right, cool. So you go there and you're gonna have, first thing is your crew. Is just you, or are there lead, non-lead trainees? So you'll complete this part, crew. That's usually done before the patrols, for a boat in particular. And then activities. If you're familiar with how to complete an activity log for like the 99D that you're going to do for today, it's the exact same process. Okay, this is an already approved thing, but I'm in UAT, so I'm just going to go new. Under activities here, he's got his whole mission. Used to be called itinerary in the old AOM. Now it's activities. You're going to click new, and in this case, it would be radio. Next. And then it's just like any other activity log. You put your mission code, start time, duration, summary of activities. So yes, you do want to complete the activities or itinerary for whatever you did. And then since it's a patrol order, you've got to come down here to the bottom left, and sign it as the operator and claimant.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh,
I mean, Yeah, it's not, I don't think, well, you tell me, when you're doing Station Gracie, you're in communication with one of the sectors at the same time?
Oh, yeah,
In
Sector
other
San
words,
Diego.
okay. Like when we go out on a marine patrol on a boat, if you know, we initiate the patrol with sector or station, and we close it out with sector station on the radio or on a cell phone at the end, so that they know we're not out there patrolling anymore. I don't know if that's a regular policy with the radios or not. Regardless, in both cases, you're going to come in here and complete the patrol order. Otherwise, it'll never be completed.
Well, we did both, and now I see we're going to have to do both. Like last time, I just simply used my cell phone, called sector, advised them that we're shutting down the station. Thank you very much. Have a good day. And they said, thank you. And off I went.
That's perfect. Now, if you want credit for all your time and all your watch standing, then this is where you're going to get it from these activities and whoever's on the crew list.
So this automatically tallies your time.
Yes, each activity, if you have more than one, is going to have its own start time and duration.
Got it.
It automatically does the end times.
How long do they keep this that I can recall and check the actual dates?
They'll never be purged from the system and for probably 20 years until they go to AUXDATA 3.
Okay, thank you.
You're good for a while.
Okay, Chris, there's a couple more questions that came up in the chat.
Yes.
One of them is, can a flotilla's facilities be renumbered so that a member with multiple facilities owns a block of numbers? I'm thinking once they've been assigned a facility number, that's it. I don't think
you mean
go in and change that?
No, I mean, we can change names and we can change registration numbers according to how they want to be assigned. But this facility number is simply a record number in the system. You know, this is all a Salesforce-based system that we have. And for any entry of any kind, a record number is attached to it. F- are all the facilities, POs, all the patrol orders, ALs, all the activity logs, et cetera, et cetera. No, those can never be changed. Those are assigned in the system and they're done.
Okay, thank you. The next question I have, and this is pretty much for all the TCOs here. Has everybody noticed the code 20B change? And Mark Forrester, please elaborate more, if you will.
Sure. Okay, so a couple weekends ago, or a couple net radio meetings ago, if you go into 20 Bravo and you look for it, it actually, the syntax has changed for the 20 Bravo. So where it used to say net, it doesn't say net anymore. So if you were putting your hours in for checking into the net, which we all do, obviously, one of the things that it doesn't say anymore is it just says radio watch standing.
Yes, and Mark asked me about that about a week ago. The code syntax, as you said, changed. It's written now. You've got it on the screen. You hopefully can all see it. 20 Bravo says radio watch ops support. Okay, but the mission is still used for the nets and for watch standing at station, etc. You know, that has not changed. Just the verbiage changed. The other radio mission that we see occasionally is 07 Delta. And when the comms, these are typically higher level comms guys doing direct, some things like the shares net and some of the HF nets will use 07 Delta. I'll defer to the comms experts on exactly when you use 07 Delta versus 20 Bravo, but the 20 Bravo verbiage changed, the mission is the same. You'll still use it at the same time as before.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, guys? I know we wanted to keep this to an hour. We've run over a little bit, but if there are any other questions, and Chris still has some time, we'll get them answered. Otherwise, you can email them to myself and I'll do some research and get back to y'all, or you know, you can continue on, and hopefully this training has helped everybody understand this process, because I know there was a lot of confusion over it.
Yes.
All right, Chris, what I was referring to with the renumbering, it's the Mission Bay Mobile 1 through 30. And I have 8 facilities and they're scattered all over. 8, 14, 15, 25, 26, et cetera, et cetera. Is there a way to get them all into one block?
Off the top of my head, I would say probably not, unless you started with a new one and went like 57 to 63, for example. Otherwise, you'll be blocking out somebody else already assigned a number. But again, AUXDATA or IS, we don't assign those. Comms guys do. We'll make the entry. So I would ask go up the CM chain of leadership and ask that question. If you wanted to clean it up that way, it would probably take new numbers that have not been used yet in a block.
Chris, those call signs are actually assigned by the OTO, or these days it's done by Shakespeare. And it's worth mentioning that in the DIROC's office, William Shakespeare is an auxiliary volunteer who works in the office and does all of the data entry into AUXDATA for facilities. And we owe him a great debt of gratitude for all the work he does in keeping all this stuff straight. He's the one who actually assigns call signs. So it might be that he could, if you requested it, go into AUXDATA and reassign those call signs if they're not used by somebody else. I realize they're all over the place. And he just kind of picks them as far as which ones he's going to assign, but he's got all of the records. He has the master records of all the facilities. He knows what is already assigned and what's available to be reassigned, and he makes those choices.
Okay, I have one other. It's not AUXDATA 2 related. How about facility labels, stickers? You know, the Coast Guard facility sticker, that's a smaller size that fits nicely on handhelds, and getting replacements for those usually it's when you replace a battery pack on a radio, you need a new facility sticker because it was attached to the battery pack on the radio.
Yeah, again, those are issued by DIROC's when a facility inspection on a new facility is completed. So an email to the shared mailbox explaining what you need and why, they should be able to send those out.
I have a sample of a smaller facility sticker that I would like to see put into service, and then room below it, a box that you can write on with a permanent marker to put its NM114 blankety blank.
Is there a suggestion box at DIROC's?
I would like to have Ed send that to me. Just scan a copy of it to me if you can, and I'll take a look at it and see what we can do. No guarantees, though.
All right, because as you know, radios have gotten a lot smaller than some of our tube radios that are now referred to as boat anchors.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I have a couple of those myself. So yeah, I'm kind of wondering where would I put a sticker on them. So anyway, yeah, send me a copy of that and I'll see what I can do.
I think I even have a sample one, with a smaller size and a larger one in the same scan that so that you can compare the two for size.
Okay.
And then a block on the label that you can take a Sharpie marker, or if Dirox wanted to print them one at a time, print in NM114 India Foxtrot or whatever it happens to be.
Question in the chat room, Chris, could you share the address of the shared mailbox? Dirox shared mailbox, so everybody has that.
Yes. The easiest way to find it is to go to d11s.org. If somebody can type it in chat right now, that'd be great. I don't have it right in front of me, but d11s.org under contact, you'll see it. It's right there, and it's clickable. It's linked. See if I can find it fast enough.
I've got it. Hang on.
Okay.
There it is.
Thanks, Rick.
No problem.
And Rick, over to you for closing comments.
Well, first of all, everybody that's here today, thank you very much for attending. SOs that are here, please pass this information along to the FSOs. They're the ones that are out there probably doing a majority of the inspections. They need to have this information. They need to know this. And we need to share this information with the other TCOs and radio operators in our district. So I know this process has been cumbersome, to say the least, but we're trying to make it better. And so folks can get their radio facilities re-inspected. Because here's the deal, guys and gal. Grace didn't want to forget you. There's two things that will keep our folks from communicating on their radios. One is being REYR, because like Chris mentioned earlier, once you're REYR in pretty much everything. And it's either core training or risk management TCT that will put you there. The other thing, if your radio facility is out of inspection, technically you cannot use it. Okay. And we're trying to get everybody up to snuff on that, so folks can use their facility equipment and continue to participate on the weekly nets, any comms training that may be going on out there. So keep all this in mind. Also, we will be coming out with a new call sign request form for new TCOs. Just needs to be filled out and submitted, and I will assign the new call sign. What was the other thing? Temporary call signs will be assigned to members that are also doing going through their TCO PQS. That time frame is only going to be about 90 days. And if they can't complete it in 90 days, they'll have to either lose it, or they just need to request an extension. Okay. Not trying to prevent anybody from getting through their PQS, but we need to let them know that it's a temporary call sign. But once they pass their PQS, we can assign them a new call sign once they submit the call sign paperwork. Temporary call signs will start with Zulu. And really, that's all I have. Chris, thank you very much. Appreciate your time and effort and help with this. Again, this will be on the YouTube page for D11 South. So if you want to get that information to your TCO folks, any comms folks, so they can see this, I know it will be helpful for them. Again, thank you very much. If you have any other questions or concerns, you can email me or your ADSO, and we'll do our best to get you the answers as quickly as we can. Thank you. All right, folks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.